Hi and welcome back to my channel. This is Teresa's Crafty Cabana. Today I got some happy mail from Becky Bokern. She is a designer for PM Artist Studio Stencils. So she had these really cool keyhole designs that she had recently created, and then I picked out the Ampersand stencil from, they're all cut from the same material, which is the Yupo paper, and PM Artist Studio sells them on their website. You can look by artist. I will link the ones that I am showing here in the description if you're looking for these particularly, but she has other stencils like this. This is the package that she sent me, and this little Gelli print that she has right here that feels so cool. The star is another stencil that she has that she designed on the PM Artist Studio page. So she left me a little note, and one of the things she wanted me to mention is inside this little sleeve there are the little keyhole punch outs. If you would like the keyhole punch outs when you're ordering your stencil, just make sure to mention in the comments for Patricia and Mariah to let them know you want these little cutouts, and they'll send those along with it. Now PM Artist Studio, they do lives every week. I'll show that one in a minute, but Becky, she doesn't have a YouTube channel, but she does have an Instagram. So I'm going to hold this. You can pause and scan that QR code if you want. I'll also link it in the description, and then you can use BeckyFan10 to get 10% off and free shipping on orders over $35 on anything on the PM Artist Studio website. Doesn't have to be just her designs. So PM, they do 4 lives a week, and again, you can find any other artists, or you can find Becky's other designs that she's made, but I think these are so fun. I couldn't wait to get started playing with these. So for the keyhole designs, she has 4 different, I guess, styles of the keyholes, and they're all, I think this is like a 4x6 maybe. I didn't measure it, but they almost look like A2 sized, and I'm just holding it against this background so you can see the different designs here. So you can see how the keyholes are kind of just laid out differently on all 4 of these little stencils that she made. Now these are, like I said, these are smaller, so they're not going to cover an 8x10 gel plate, but you could use a few of these on there, or you can pick it up and use it kind of a couple of times. And again, this is the Keyhole Orifices by Becky Bokern. And thank you, Becky, for these awesome stencils. These are really, really fun. I love the keyholes. Those are so cool. And then the Ampersand, this is essentially all these different shapes and sizes, kind of almost looks like just woven yarn pieces until you realize, oh, those are actually symbols. So the paints that I'm using, I'm just going to use some of this Academy acrylic, a few different pinks and purple colors, have a black. I've got some purples here with the Master's Touch. These are all thick body paints that I'm using today. I've got an iridescent bright gold and silver, and then I've got this cerulean golden blue color. Again, this is the thick heavy body. So before this color was put down, I had I guess it was a dried out turquoise that I tried to brayer out, and it just kind of, it didn't work. The brayer kept pulling it right back up. So if you have dry paints, especially these heavy body ones, if they're dry a little bit, the brayer just kind of picks it right back up. So I try not to overwork them on here. So I'm going to just put this Ampersand, this one covers the 8x10 gel plate just really nicely. And I'm using some rice paper. I have a roll of rice paper that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I just kind of tore out the sizes that will kind of fit my 8x10 gel plate. I like it because you can make your own size. Now I do have extra rice paper hanging off the end, and I do tear that off, so I'll print with that on a smaller size. For now, I'm just removing the paint in between all of those little symbols. And then I'll be left with this nice blue, and it looks like you can see they have a border, a paint border. I tried just cleaning off my stencil by brayering the extra paint onto that roll-off page, or the page that I had pulled the extra paint from. A little bit came off. Now I'm gonna, after this dried, I'm gonna go in with some iridescent bright gold. And again, because this is such a thick paint, one of the things I noticed about working with thick paints is the paint splatters as you brayer it. So my workstation was getting nice and splattery with paint. So just keep that in mind. My paint tends to come off pretty easily with a either a baby wipe, or I'll use some alcohol on a cloth. And that seems to do the trick. Taking that same piece that I did in blue, but I flipped my stencil on the gold so that I got a different design. And you can see I'm pressing through, and you can see it's not lining up exactly where the blue areas were. So I wanted to get a different look by flipping the design. And there you can see the gold that pops off. And now I have a little mixture of the blue and the gold left on the plate. Once that was dried, I added this Prism Violet. This is a really pretty bright purple, and it's a kind of a deep plum kind of color. This is the color I'm going to use to pull this print. And this is just another piece of rice paper. I do use the shiny side down, facing the gel plate. And since this has 3 layers on it, I do let this sit and dry with a fan for probably about 5 minutes before I remove it. And you can see it removes nice and clean. It's pulling up all of the layers. I really love these colors together. So that bright blue really pops from the purple, and the gold just makes this really interesting design that you really can only see the gold when you tilt it in the light. It almost disappears a little bit when it's not in the light, and so it makes it look even more interesting when you tilt it. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to put down some of this Mars Black paint. This is a nice opaque black, and it will completely cover the gel plate, which is perfect. So I've been wanting to add some black and white prints to my collection of gel prints because, you know, I have quite a few of them, but I love color, so almost every time I gel print I use color. But I've been seeing people who do some collages, and they'll add like a pop of some black and white paper in there that they gel printed, and I think it just looks so nice, and it kind of grounds whatever they're working on. So that was kind of my idea with this one, is I wanted to start with a nice black and then kind of put a little texture down. I'm using the little bubble wraps here to give it a little bit of texture, and then I'll put the ampersand back down, and then just kind of see if I can get a nice black and white print. So once I put the ampersand back down on the plate, I did want to remove the extra paint. So I just used that first sheet that I was using with the blue and the gold right on top. and I kind of offset it just a little bit from the blue, and it is facing the same way that the blue was. Rice paper makes it nice and easy to see where your paint is and if you've transferred the paint to the paper or not. Doesn't have to be perfect because I'm okay with leaving some behind on the plate, but I thought it was really cool how it looked like these shadows from the blue and then the black. So here I'm left with this nice kind of like a black outline. Now I did tear off the bottom half of that first rice piece of paper that I was working on, and I'm using that to just press into the leftover paint on the Ampersand stencil, and I was able to remove some of the paint. And I just kind of went in a couple of times, just building up the layers. This is another nice, just neutral black and white kind of print that I can use for something. So I do let this dry, and before I go in with my white, I did decide to add some gold in between. The gold is a transparent color, so I did want to have a pop of that before I pull with the white. So this time I lined up my ampersand with the black and offset it to give it that kind of shadowy look, and then I put my gold right over the top and then just brayered that out until I got even coverage. And then I'll carefully remove the stencil. You want to remove these slowly so that you don't rip them. And then I let that dry. And now I'll go in with my white, and this is what I'll use to pull the print. On my roll-off page, you can see I'm still working on that same magazine. It's great because I get so much, I guess I can roll off so many times into this one magazine. I don't really feel like I'm wasting paper, and the designs that I get with my roll-offs, I put a stencil underneath it and get these really cool looking designs, and they're already colored in because of the magazine, and then I get these just really neat looking, I don't know if they're really prints, but brayer off pages that I'm kind of saving my favorite ones. If they don't look that great, then I get rid of them, but yeah, I'm almost through this magazine. But here's my print, and I think it looks really neat with the gold. Again, it shines more when you tilt it, and then you can see that it's just a nice neutral black and white, and it almost has like a graffiti look to me. Maybe it's because it's got a little bit of like a grunge to it. Then I've got like a purpley pink and a magenta pink. So I'm gonna put those both down and do an ombre with those two colors. I have this embossed, I think this is called Gothic Arches, and I just embossed this on cardstock, 110 pound Nina white cardstock, and I'm just using it to get a little bit of a design on this pink background before I do the next step. While it's still wet, I dropped some of these keyhole orifices. These are just the cutouts. I'm just kind of dropping them a little bit messy, just to create my own kind of little wonky shapes here. Didn't want them to be perfect. And I mixed up the sizes, a couple of big ones and then some smaller ones in between, and just kind of filled in where I wanted to. And again, the paint is still wet, so then I went in with my rice paper to remove the paint that was still wet. And at this point, I thought I would leave my gel print kind of resting here, remove the keyholes, and I thought I would just press it right back down. But I realized I wanted to add one more layer before I press this down. So I do end up just removing my gel print, and I'm going to go in with some gold after these keyholes dry. I'm careful not to let those little pieces stick to my brayer off, so I did flip them so that the paint side wasn't facing the brayer off side. If the wet paint dries while it's facing it, I was afraid it was going to stick to the magazine paper. So I rolled down the gold on top of those keyholes, and then I have this, it's just a texture plate, I guess, that's used for stained glass, and I really love, it's like a crackle effect. I think it looks so cool. So I decided to press that down before I pull this print. It wasn't quite big enough to get to the sides, so I am using a little bit on the sides where I missed in the first two tries. And then I am lining it up again, just eyeballing it here because you can kind of see through this rice paper. So this is more of a tone-on-tone look, but you can see the gold. Same thing, when I tilt it into the light, you can see the gold with that crackle look. And when I tilt it away from the light, it kind of disappears and you just see the pink. I was happy to have a nice kind of one color, well, two colors because I ombre'd it, but a nice print like this because sometimes I just want a more solid print. And then what I got from all my prints today, I'm just kind of putting them all together here. I think that these are so much fun. I really want to play around with more of the keyhole little stencils and maybe combo them with the ampersand. I think that's going to be a really neat combination, and maybe play around with some more colors, different colors. And I have an idea for what I might make with these, so I'll wait until I decide if I'm going to do it or not. But anyway, what do you think of these stencils? I think they are really fun. And did you like the colorful ones or the more black and white ones? I really was impressed with how the one that had the blue shadow turned out. That one really just draws my eye to it. I think it turned out really fun. So I think that maybe that one ended up being my favorite one. And it was also kind of by accident. I didn't know I was offsetting it. So when I saw the shadow like that, I was actually really happy that it turned out like that. And I think I might try recreating that on purpose next time, if I can. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next video. Here I'm just going to go through each of them one at a time, just so you can see what each of them looks like. Thank you to Becky for sending me these awesome stencils. I am so happy to have them and to play around with them. So please check her out and look at her designs if you're interested. And again, I'll have those in the link below, and I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, happy crafting.